There have been a few indie games that have been generating a lot of positive buzz lately. There's one that caught my eye because it didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary, but word of mouth said otherwise, so I decided to check it out. Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy and this is my non-spoiler review for Animal Well for the PS5. The game was developed by Billy Basso and Shared Memory LLC and published by Bigmode. So let's talk about the story of this game, and this is where things start to get interesting. This game basically has no story. I can describe to you guys what I feel is the premise, but there's no actual story. So you play as a blob that is born, I think, from a flower underground. And the objective of the game is to collect 4 flames that have been scattered throughout this mysterious place. And this is basically what is shown in the opening quote-unquote cutscene of the game. And that's about as much story as you will get. So let's talk about the visuals. This game goes for some pixel art style with a purplish color palette and a lot of visual emphasis on lighting and water effects. Just as with the story, I would describe this game like very minimalistic with its visuals. The setting where the game takes place is very interesting because it's almost like you're exploring an underground cave or kingdom where there are all kinds of animal visual aesthetics and actual animals. But I do have to point out that not all animals are cute and cuddly. There are some very weird animals throughout this game. In regards to the music, and again, I have to say it's very minimalistic. They go for an atmospheric feel. Similar, I would describe it to Breath of the Wild, in the sense that there are very few music tracks that you can actually hear. Most of the time, there's just this atmospheric feel, accentuated mostly by sound effects. However, when there are music tracks that you can hear, they are equally atmospheric and mesmerizing. So let's talk about the gameplay. Animal Well is a Metroidvania adventure game focused on non-linear exploration, platforming, and puzzle solving, and it's combat free, meaning that there is no combat whatsoever. The objective of the game is to find 4 fires scattered throughout this underground cavern or kingdom. In order to do this, you will have to explore, solve puzzles to open new paths, and acquire and use key items to progress forward. Puzzles are part of the level design, integrated into the platforming, and are varied. In other words, the puzzle is part of the different areas you explore, and you have to solve them with platforming or using your key items. Puzzles start out simple and get progressively more challenging as you get further into the game and as you acquire more key items. You could say that the game has 4 main bosses, and I'm gonna say quote-unquote bosses, which are 4 big animals. And these 4 animals define 4 segments of the map and basically are more or less the protectors of each of the flames. You will face these key animals sometimes once, sometimes twice, but the battles are not actually battles. They are just puzzle fights in a way, where you have to press 3 switches, for example, just to run away from the enemy. And usually after you encounter and defeat quote-unquote these bosses, you find a key item. And like any other Metroidvania, these key items add new functions or mechanics to the gameplay. What really caught my eye, and it's another thing that sets Animal Well apart from other Metroidvania games, is that the key items are not your typical, for example, double jump. Instead, the game goes for some very odd key items that add some very interesting mechanics to the game. Besides the 4 bosses that I spoke about, you will find other enemies in the form of animals. And again, you will have to distract them or run away from them in order to progress. And once again, even with its gameplay, Animal Well adopts a very minimalistic approach. There is no text whatsoever in the game, meaning that the game conveys all of its information through visual cues or audio cues, trusting the player to figure it out. In other words, this game does not hold your hand. There are a lot of secrets to find and collectibles in the form of eggs that you can acquire. And in terms of performance, the game had no frame rate drops, no bugs or glitches whatsoever. The game takes around 4 to 5 hours to complete the main quest, but I believe that with the secrets, you will probably get a lot more hours of gameplay out of this game. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of this game. And in regards to the pros, I have a lot of good things to say. First of all, the visuals. The pixel art style with the purplish color palette and the use of lighting and water effects really makes this game look beautiful from beginning to end. Secondly, the exploration. The minimalistic feel of the game really creates this air of mystery that generates intrigue and motivation to explore every nook and cranny of this world. Using each new item that you find to tackle new obstacles and open new areas is fun and engaging throughout the entire game, plus the animal-themed setting adds to the cuteness factor. And last but not least, the minimalistic approach to the gameplay is another highlight. Here, I want to point out specifically that the game manages to convey a lot of gameplay information, especially in regards to all the things you can do with the key items without ever putting text on screen. That requires a superb skill in game and level design that this game achieves excellently. This gives the player a sense of satisfaction each time he or she manages to understand what the game is saying. So let's talk about the cons, and I have a few things to point out, but honestly, nitpicks. In regards to visuals, some of the areas don't look distinct enough. There are areas in the game that really look different from the first areas of the game. And in general, the game looks very visually pleasing, but a lot of the time I felt like I was looking at more or less areas that looked very similar. But I have to clarify, similar in terms of colors and some visual aesthetics, not in terms of level design, because there's a lot of variety in terms of level design. The second thing that I would have to point out as a shortcoming is the lack of music. Honestly, the game focuses a lot on an atmospheric feel accentuated with sound effects, and there's very little music to hear properly. To me, this was a bummer, because when there's music that you can actually hear, it's beautiful, and I wish that there had been more music throughout the entire game. And third but not least, I found that it was sometimes very easy to get lost and not know what to do because of the minimalistic approach of the game. So I have to clarify, these three things, like I said, are nitpicks because a lot of it is by design, which I have to respect because the developer was going for a specific type of feel and vision for the game, and that's awesome. So in conclusion, Animal Well adopts a minimalistic approach to its gameplay, story, music, and visuals that alongside the pixel art style, the animal setting, and the color palette really gives it a unique feel. This game is loaded with charm, mystery, and fun gameplay, and for this reason, I highly recommend Animal Well for the PS5. So that's going to be it for my non-spoiler review. I really recommend that you guys check this game out, because believe me when I say descriptions do not make this game justice. Go check it out. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our content.